And you said it'd only be one episode of me learning things. But I learned.
Yo. Yo. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhyme that'll come in from my mind. Used to come in.
Good evening. It is 3 to Tango podcast. So I don't know if anyone's noticed this. I'm sure you guys haven't noticed this. I started just titling the episodes according to the episode of The Last Dance, even though the first 2 weeks I definitely only released 2 episodes, just 2 big-ass episodes. But now we're somehow at episode 9 because I said, fuck it, no one's going to notice this mishap right here. It's not even a mishap. It was done purposely. But anyway, we are arriving. So let's talk about the penultimate episode, a word that I love to use because Dragon Ball Z, we were talking about that a minute ago. Because Game of Thrones made it popular. You know what I mean? The penultimate episode of Game of Thrones was always the best episode until the last season. Then every episode sucked. But that's I'm sorry, not to get too far off topic. I'm pitching fire today. I'm pitching heat. So let's talk about episode 9. Episode 9. Man, I wrote a bunch of notes. They're just all over the place. I don't have a theme. Did you guys pick up a theme? You know what? How about we just call the theme Black Jesus? I don't know. Any theme for episode 9? Anything you can think of?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's kind of hard to understand. Like, you know, because I watched them both yesterday.
Yeah.
And it felt like just watching a 2-hour movie that was racing to the end of the story.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It felt like the first 8 episodes were weaving together all of this stuff. And then episode 9 and 10 was just like, and this is how it ends.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, each episode would go to the last season, and then it will go back to like 84, 85, 90, 91.
Good point.
And then this one was going just to 97,
Yeah.
and then coming back to 98, 90. So it was just like you felt like, honestly, I'm telling you, like I'll probably mess it up because everything felt so glued together.
Yeah, I agree.
It felt like you said, a big thing.
Yeah, it's 100. So okay. So I'm just gonna. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just start reading things off my list that I wrote down.
Yeah.
So one thing I wrote down. So here I wrote this down. Reggie pushed the Reggie push off. Now that is a push off, and we're gonna bring this back in episode 10.
Yeah.
That is a fucking push off.
Yeah.
And
Clearly.
that would get called today without a question. I mean, my man straight checks him.
Yeah.
But what I actually wrote down, Reggie push off and MJ's reaction to immediately cause timeout. So as soon as Reggie hits that shot, MJ doesn't even react to the push off. He gets flung back, immediately tries to recover on defense, immediately sees the shot go in and cause timeout. This is a big moment in the series. I don't know how many players, and maybe I'm wrong.
And people are flopping now, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, James Harden ends up in a different state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A different state of mind, a different state in the country,
He would.
a whole different thing.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
And but MJ's state of mind to immediately call the timeout. What is that? Game 6, right? Is that how Game 6 ends, or Game 5 ends? Or maybe it's Game 4 that ends this way. I don't even remember. But so anyway, he pushes off. MJ calls a timeout. I just found that amazing to me.
Yeah, it's staggering. It's staggering in the modern era where every single player, especially Dinwiddie, thinks he can bitch at the refs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bro, you don't start on your own team.
Correct.
Like they actually talked about that. I actually heard other people talking about this, talking about how like he doesn't react to that kind of it at all, at least in the way that we see it.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely say something to the ref as he's walking across the baseline.
Yeah.
But I forget which teammate of his was talking on somewhere else, or I read it somewhere else the past few days, where it's saying that Michael only addressed the referees in that kind of way during timeouts or at halftime.
Situation. Yep.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to get himself out of the play.
Mm-hmm.
Where you see like Chris Paul will dribble the ball up the floor, still talking to the referees.
Yep.
Like that did not fly in the 90s.
Yep.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. And I mean that like even growing up, that's the way I was told to. First of all, I was told not to talk to the refs, but I was also, it was play through the whistle. Like just in any sport, it's like you keep going.
Right.
You let the refs, you let the coach defend you on the calls, and you keep getting hacked. And then you just keep going through. That's why when I do play ball, like I don't call foul a lot because I have to focus on making it or trying to make the shot,
You're
or
also a
layup
hacker,
or whatever.
so I don't think you want to
Because I'm
draw
getting
attention.
whacked because I'm,
Yeah.
Shaq out there.
But you know what?
I don't think you want to draw the attention to the physicality because you're a hacker.
No, because you have to do that to me.
Anyway, go ahead, Vic. I'm sorry. We're not going to do this again.
Another thing that was kind of brought up over and over again about Jordan is like his ability to be in the moment, right? Yeah. Where it's like the offensive foul that clearly happens is that doesn't get called. Him getting the like satisfaction of getting to berate a referee about it is not more important than him trying to stop that shot from going in.
Yep.
Where like these other guys can't be in that moment long enough. If this happened to me, it's important to me. I have to now, deal with this frustration in a way that's unproductive.
Yeah.
Where Michael Jordan can
he might have been so hyper focused he didn't even realize how insane that was.
No, I've heard from teammates that he was fucking pissed.
Oh, okay.
Like immediately pissed, but he just wasn't gonna show it in that way.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's just clear in today's NBA. The first thing that happens is the player complains to the ref. They make a half-ass effort to get to the shot,
right?
But really are complaining to the ref the entire time.
Yeah.
And again, MJ immediately calls that timeout. It just, to me, I thought was incredible. Reggie admits it, you know what I mean? Which is, it's such a funny relationship, the Reggie MJ relationship, because it's like Reggie doesn't hold a candle to MJ in any way. He's not MJ's biggest rival.
Nope.
You could say he's his biggest rival in the East only because they play the same position, but even then, it's really not his biggest rival in the East. It's even though he does say the Pacers pushed him the hardest.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's true considering
outside of the Pistons, he said, right?
Yeah, outside of the Pistons. But that's kind of shitting on all the Knicks battles that they have.
I found that interesting too, but I think that's maybe because of like the matchups. Like,
yeah. I mean,
as big as the Knicks were, they didn't ever have a great crop of guards.
Yeah. If you ask like any New Yorker, they say John Starks was the most overrated, player.
Yeah, for sure.
My uncle hates John Starks. He's a diehard, he loves Patrick Ewing could do no harm, but he's like, in his opinion, everyone like kind of big ups John Starks. They're like, he wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it comes to the Pacers, and we talked about this. I was looking at their roster. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
They do have, the Davis brothers.
Yeah.
Even just like role players, like having like they had such a, just a physical team too, man. Like the Davis brothers, them dudes were monsters. It was like, and then you had at center. I mean, they just had a lot of talent on that team.
And you had guys on the perimeter that they had to guard.
Yeah.
Like they didn't outside of John Starks, you had a lot of guys on the Knicks that were just setup guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, but you had guys like even like Travis Best coming off the bench. Like he's not remembered like by a lot of guys, but he was an athlete.
Yeah.
And he can get to the basket. He's gonna make you work. Like it wasn't the same kind of thing. Like if MJ's guarding, I mean, outside of John Starks, like Charlie Ward, like that's not the hardest assignment in the world for him.
Yeah, Derek Harper.
Yeah, it's like Doc Rivers. Like, are we really worried about any of these guys?
Nah, bro.
And the one thing too, I think to Reggie's credit, probably the best thing that Reggie his best talent is making his teammates believe that he's the baddest dude on the court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because his teammates and his teams really went with him like Jordan's teams went with him. Even though there's no comparison, they're not comparable, but the teammates believed in him that way. And he earned it. Listen, he earned their belief. You know what I mean? I'm not going to shit on Reggie. Reggie was one of my favorite players growing up. But we do remember him. We romanticize him a bit for sure.
Oh yeah.
But it is what it is. They push him to 7 games, and maybe that's also why MJ says that. But one thing I did want to say too. So they tell the Black Jesus story.
Yeah.
And I realized something because we had this conversation a couple weeks ago. about when Michael says the thing to that's not Scotty Burrell. He says that too about who gave you the tickets. God gave you the tickets. Remember?
Yeah.
And you said
Randy Brown.
Yeah, it's Randy Brown. And you said if LeBron said that, the whole world would go crazy.
Yeah.
And I think I realize there's a difference here because I don't think anybody would react at all if MJ says he's Black Jesus, or if Kobe said it, no one would care. If LeBron said it, but it's because it's out of his persona.
Correct.
That's outside of his persona to say something like that. Whereas the Black Jesus thing, MJ saying that is true. Maybe, I don't know. You know what I mean? I think he at this point has convinced everyone that he could walk on water. Right. Which is the exact reference, actually, Reggie says, you're the guy who can walk on water, and then MJ lights him up. And I fucked this up, add this to the list of fuck-ups, because I wanted to look up the numbers of this game to see exactly the stats of how they finished. But
that series?
The Black Jesus game, the game that Reggie references that he finishes with 2 points in the second half. Scotty misses free throws down the stretch. Misses 2 free throws in against the Jazz. I mean, he breaks 2 free throws
against the Pacers.
Yeah, correct. Listen, it looks good for Scotty in episode 10, but all throughout this whole series, it's not looking good for Scotty.
Let me take that further. So I literally was in the shower listening to a podcast, and it was Charles Barkley on Zach Lowe's podcast.
Zach Lowe, yeah.
And he goes, the whole thing with him going to the Rockets, and then Scotty ends up there with those 3 other guys, right? With Drexler, with him, with Olajuwon and Scotty.
Yeah.
And he's talking about when Scotty decides to ask for a trade to go. Mm-hmm. He's like, you guys are too old. I'm not going to win with you guys. Like, that's fine. But he wasn't going to win without Jordan anyway, though. Oh. Like, he's like, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. Like, if he wasn't going to win with them Blazer boys, he was not going to win ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the fact. People need to understand that Scotty is just is what it is. You know what I mean? We just gotta rein back a little bit on the Scotty love. The Scotty love needs to be understood that it's the defensive pressure that him and MJ could inflict on people that makes him Scotty. It has not, his offense is it improves over time, but is very limited, very limited. He doesn't become Kawhi. You know what I mean? Put it that way.
He's a facilitator.
Correct.
He was a great facilitator. That those some of those passes you even saw in the documentary, like one he throws to Steve he's in the right corner, he throws a skip pass over the entire defense to the left wing to wide open Steve Kerr. Gorgeous pass. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to win championships unless you got somebody who's going to be a dominant force.
Yeah, correct.
Which is what Scotty's not going to be.
Can never be. Yeah, it becomes very clear. Those free throws punctuate, I think, the things that the negative things that we see about Scotty, that ends it. The free throws kind of close almost the way I viewed the 2 episodes. Yeah. How we viewed Scotty, that was kind of like, all right, pour water on the Scotty fire. He misses these 2 free throws. They show Karl Malone win the MVP, which Karl Malone has the least swag of any person I've ever seen in my life. There's actually 2 points I want to make here.
He's a redneck.
He's a redneck. Yeah. He's a redneck. He tucks in his polo shirts, the whole thing. You know what I mean? He's not even a redneck. He's a Mormon. You know what I mean? He fit in Utah because he was a Mormon almost.
No, but he loves fishing and shooting.
He's a country boy.
He's a country. Yeah, but he's more than a country dude. Because Nelly is a country dude. He made a song called Country Grammar, and he ain't nothing like Karl Malone.
He ain't no country boy.
You watch your mouth. Nelly made Country Grammar. Yeah, so what? There's no country in St. Louis?
The South.
It's the Midwest. The Midwest and hip hop.
They don't.
In hip hop, the Midwest and the South are the same. You don't know they don't do fishing. People fish up here.
It's a big city.
I be fishing all day on my apps. You know what I mean?
No, I'm talking about country. All right, go ahead, man. You want
to keep going. You want to keep going.
Go ahead.
You want to keep going. For some reason, I wrote Brian on MJ's list. What Brian am I? Oh, Brian Russell.
Yes.
Brian makes. I'm like, why would I be on MJ? I got scared for a second. That's how great MJ is. He still elicits that fear.
Is his name Byron? Byron Russell?
I think it's Brian Russell. They said Brian Russell last night, so I wrote it down as Brian.
Right,
but I always get this shit confused. I've been getting it confused for 10 straight episodes. You wouldn't think I would have figured it out by now because
it's Byron. It's Byron Russell.
It's Byron. Okay, my bad. So I wrote. I'm gonna keep calling him Brian anyway because MJ disrespected him in such a way. We do see the game-winning shot though in the '97 finals.
Yeah.
He hits that one game winner that I had mentioned last week.
Yeah, it's game one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going down John Stockton pass. So David Aldridge says this is the best pass I've ever seen any point guard make. Calm down, David Aldridge. I've seen Ben make 12 passes like that this year that were better. You know what I mean? It's a great pass though.
I think he's referring to like the gravity of the moment.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, but also that thing was in the breadbasket. Like that was straight Montana.
It was a great pass. I'm not saying it's a bad pass, but to say this is the best pass he's
ever
seen. He
literally caught it and just whoop.
He's talking about it being it's in the finals. It's against the greatest player. He's trailing him like a defensive back.
Yeah.
And Michael Jordan, if he would have played the 4 years he fucking threw away because he's an asshole, he would have been the all-time leader in steals.
For sure.
So
yeah, it's funny because I did a little math today as a teaser on comparing career games between LeBron and MJ. And there's no way that LeBron will ever catch MJ in steals, even though he's played 200 more games and counting.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He's just never going to catch MJ in steals.
No.
I'm just saying, the greatest pass he's ever seen. That you want to talk about hyperbole by a point guard. I mean, I know I can find better passes in the finals. I know I can. If I look a little bit. You know what I mean? I'll find a Magic Johnson fucking thing, or I'll find a, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, it's a little hyperbolic, but this all leads to the flu game. I'm gonna be honest with you. The best thing that this documentary is that I'm fucking buying into the propaganda. I'm buying into it because now I'm convinced that my man ate bad pizza for mad years. So I was convinced. What?
So it's funny because when that part came on, and y'all know me, I'm obsessed with the fucking sport, and I have never read anywhere that he had eaten pizza. Mind you, he also, at that point, wasn't really talking to the media like he was early in his career. So a lot of the stuff we know about Michael are from the first half of his career. But after the gambling thing, he kind of was like, fuck all y'all.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe me anyway. But when he talks about eating something and not feeling well after, I immediately thought about Fred and the fruit from the Temple fruit truck.
Oh.
And like all of those symptoms are exactly what Fred went through, right? Like being dehydrated, constantly throwing up, having the runs. All of that makes sense. Now, I listened to Jalen Jacoby with Jason Hare, the director, on.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know if I buy. He said, I don't buy into the fact that someone tried to poison Michael Jordan. But I believe them in saying that like they think the pizza made him sick. Okay. And the thing is, right, if you eat a whole pizza by yourself, first of all, some people think the worst argument against it is that how could he eat the whole pizza by himself? Like, first and foremost, he goes to practice and plays games. He's a 6'6", 200-something foot man. He could definitely down a pizza by himself.
Listen, I've seen 5'6".
That's what I was gonna say.
300-pound men down multiple pizzas by themselves.
Yes,
That's not.
I was gonna say.
Pizza. Hold on, before we even move forward, eating a full pizza is one of the easiest things you can do. Actually, when it comes to like gorging yourself with a lot of food, it's far harder to eat like a container of Chinese rice. I'll tell you that. It's harder to eat a container of Chinese rice than it is to eat a full fucking pizza. I can blow through a fucking box of pizza.
Yeah, because you're eating it with your hands, so you can demolish it. You're not just constantly scooping. Yeah. So it's just something that you could eat real fast.
I don't know, but that's the craziest logic I've ever heard in my life, Fred. I don't know about that.
I think he's talking about like quantity, right?
Quantity.
I can eat the size of a pizza is bigger in relation to the size than the one spoonful of rice. But the point being, though, they're also making the argument that, oh, you're gonna really be in a room with your boys, and they're not gonna eat with you, and it's like, if Michael Jordan walks into a fucking room, do you think anybody does anything without his permission first?
Well, but also they say it's 2 a.m. It's like 2 in the morning when they order this pizza or whatever. Not everybody at 2 o'clock in the morning wants to eat fucking pizza.
That's the
and
other
they
part.
Could have ate.
There it is. That's the
Yeah.
part of the story they didn't put into the film for some reason. They had already ordered without him.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So he was kind of doing it like this, and Jason Hare doesn't do this, but I've just been around enough like guys who thought they were the fucking end all be all. He did this fucking like, I'm gonna make a statement by not eating because y'all didn't eat with me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna fucking be, I'm gonna be this prima. I have my little drama queen moment.
The Chango, yeah. You're gonna be like Brian.
The Chango
Brian,
moment.
I would do that.
So like, oh no, I'm not hungry. Don't fucking worry about me. I'm not fucking hungry.
Yeah.
Until he couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, cheese, like eating a whole pizza worth of cheese, and we don't know what else is on it either. Like, there probably was some sort of protein on there, probably some other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's not crazy to me that you ate a whole pizza at 2-3 o'clock in the morning at the only place that was open in fucking Utah, which is, let's just say, not known for their fucking culinary wonders, that would make you sick.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I can eat a pizza and not have food poisoning. You know what I mean? Food poisoning is a specific thing to get, but also food poisoning is also a specific thing to inflict on somebody. That's very difficult to inflict. Okay, it's not very easy to just give someone food poisoning.
No,
if you give them raw chicken, that's salmonella. You're not going to get food poisoning from raw chicken. You get salmonella. So when you're giving somebody food poisoning, it takes a little bit of doing. You know what I mean?
I'm not advocating that
I know. I'm speaking to your point about someone doing that. What I'm saying is, for years, everyone has always said he was hungover.
But that's like him getting suspended. There's no evidence. They just want to say that.
And there's also no evidence that he ate this pizza.
No, there is. There's all those different dudes providing the same story in different interviews.
I read all the same dudes that are also getting paid by Michael Jordan. This is the purpose of propaganda, right? Everyone here is part of the Michael Jordan sphere. And I'm not saying it's not true. What I'm saying is no one knows the restaurant that he ordered from. These 5 random dudes show up, okay? So tell me this. You order a slice of pizza. You order a pizza in the morning, and 5 people show up. What the fuck is that?
Because they thought that they were delivering it to Michael Jordan.
Okay. So you're saying that Michael Jordan, that they called under a restaurant and said, no athlete does that either. Hey, I want a pizza delivered for Michael Jordan. Athletes don't do that for a specific reason, to avoid 5 people showing up.
But it's also
but they knew a lot of people knew where they stayed.
That's fair.
You gotta remember, this is a time where there was hundreds of people waiting outside.
That's fair.
Of the hotels just to see him.
Also, and everyone knows Michael Jordan is Yeah,
it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So like part of the selling point for Tim Grover to get somebody to fucking deliver the pizza was like, this is for Michael Jordan, please. He's hungry. I ate food without him. I don't want him to fire me. Please bring this pizza.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not perpetuating the rumor. I'm just saying this story seems a little, I don't know what it seems. Now, with that said, the treatment that he gets is not a treatment you would get for a hangover. You don't get IV for hangover. You don't get an IV drip for a hangover. You get an IV drip because you're sick, because you have something like food poisoning, which makes it more impressive, because there's a lot of things. I can do anything on a hangover. I don't feel like doing anything on a hangover.
Correct. But you could if you needed to.
If you have food poisoning, you literally are unable to do things. You know what I mean? And I've had food poisoning. I had food poisoning somewhat recently. And I was unable to do anything except not feel well.
But also, hangovers don't last like a million hours.
Maybe not for you. I don't know. My hangovers are now going into 2 days. They're becoming 2-day things.
And what's crazy is though, he drank a lot. My man was drinking Miller after games, like straight out the. So, I mean, I would think he has some sort of tolerance.
Yeah. I can't believe that he would have a...
And why not just keep it at the flu? Like I had the flu.
Yeah, I can't believe that he would have a hangover that would last the whole day. They don't play until the night.
Yeah.
Like, people are thinking about, like, if I wake up and I have to go to work the next morning, I feel shitty. Of course you do.
Well, also he doesn't sleep, so he would not have had a hungover. He would have just been drunk for the game.
Correct.
He
Yeah.
would have went to the game drunk.
But also like they don't like an IV is not what they do, right?
They don't give IV for hangover.
You just go to fucking sleep and then you wake up.
Yeah. Except for him, he doesn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. If it's food poisoning, it makes it that much more impressive. You know what I mean? Again, I find it. I don't know what to believe because again, there's a piece of me that's watching this and is thinking we're being fed a story in some cases in a way that makes none of this makes MJ look bad. Again, I stand by that. And the last 2 episodes makes me believe that more. You know what I mean? I get your point, Vic, that you made last week about like the fan who was like, well, MJ's not a good person and LeBron's a good person. Okay, yeah. I get that point. But I don't even know if that fan is watching this documentary necessarily. I don't see this and think MJ looks bad. In fact, by the end, he just looks more heroic to me. You know what I mean? He goes, and in fact, let me take it a step further.
Mm-hmm.
I think what MJ actually meant to say when he said that it makes him look bad was that it was going to take away the sheen of the persona that he had built. This persona that we always talked about, that he was almost, it just seemed like he was above humanity. You know what I mean? That he was unimpeachable. He is not human. And all this did was say, hey, he's like a human being sometimes. You know what I mean? And I don't think that makes him look bad. It just, like, yeah, I don't think it makes him look bad. That's all. I don't know what else to say.
But
yeah,
if my persona was perfect and now I'm less than perfect, isn't that by definition making me look bad?
But at this point, see, I think this is going to become a philosophical debate, right? Because I think the way humans now, especially, view things like perfection, the concept of perfection is imperfect. A perfect human is an imperfect thought as it is. And in fact, when you look at like a Disney movie, right, the perfect suitor would be like that Prince Charming, and that guy's always an asshole in the movie. You know what I mean? So what perfection is, you know what I mean? We wouldn't even be able to process we don't have the capacity to assign perfection to a person. You know what I mean? We wouldn't understand it.
Yeah, so but that's the same thought though. The LeBron boy is gonna be like, LeBron would never do that to his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's all he means.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that you're taking the semantics of what you think he mean, what you would use that statement for, and what he's saying is that all these kids know me as this last second shot in my dope ass sneakers, and now they're gonna see the shit that I did to Scott Burrell.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Yeah, no, and I agree with Vic. Like, everyone knew he was great, right? That's why we're watching, right? This is not a 10-part docuseries on Paxson, right? We're talking about Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. And you see, the thing is, again, you know, what we talk about is that he benefited, I guess, from not from the social media, not being in the social media era, which I don't think he would ever used anyway. No, but, you know, he had this aura because you didn't know too much about him, right? You didn't know, you knew he was a competitor, but to see him in practice, you know, and being, you know, reckless with his teammates, those type of things, I think people would say, I probably wouldn't like that dude, you know, like you're just like, nobody likes that. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to, you know.
It's legit. All this stuff people gave Kobe shit for.
Yeah.
In the first half of the 2000s.
Exactly.
Like, if it was the roles were switched, it'd be the same thing. It's just
Kobe just couldn't contain it.
See the end of the story.
Yeah.
So now we say it's all worth it. But Kobe also won 5 rings.
But there's also the reverse. The difference with Kobe too is that Shaq was a hero. You know what I mean? Right. In the story, he's
the good guy.
In the story, Shaq was the good guy. Even though, as we, Vic, and you know, I know you know, as we've learned, Shaq as a teammate is a little overrated. Yeah, you know what I mean, to say the least. But Shaq is the hero of the story, and Kobe becomes the villain. So it becomes a tiny bit different. He becomes a person who breaks up the team. And it's so easy to villainize him because they say, well, Shaq won the championships. Shaq is the championship winner. You are just the guy on the coattails. So that's what made his championships, you know, kind of get the monkey off his back. But we also understood that Kobe wanted to win on his terms, and those terms were not as great as MJ wanting to win on his terms. You know what I mean? So
they're different.
It's
they're
just lesser. Yeah, it's just lesser.
It is. But I would, and this is not something that we can really ever talk about because it's too much of a hypothetical. Mm-hmm. But in the social media era, mm-hmm. I don't think this lasts as long as it does. Like I think Scotty is going to get so much love so fast that like once the footage of Kobe calling what's his name, Nick Young, Charmin Soft. Yeah. Once that equivalent comes out of Michael doing that to Scotty is gone.
And the memes and all the
Scotty is gone and Michael is vilified for it.
I mean, look what happened with the Jimmy Butler last year, the T-Wolves practice, or 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Or whenever the fuck that happened. They made a whole Game of Zones episode. What's the Game of Zones episode for
so good.
MJ punching Scott Burrell and putting Steve Kerr in the headlock or whatever? Okay, yeah. But so anyway, agree to disagree. I think he looks great still.
No, I also think he looks great. I just think that the ignorance.
He just looks like MJ. He looks more MJ than I've ever believed. You know, than I ever knew.
And that's us knowing having
MJ.
The history.
Yeah, you're not looking at through a regular lens.
Yeah.
An ignorant lens is like, man, this dude is not at all what I thought he was going to be.
I just feel like a regular lens would say, man, this guy really believed in tough love. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm fucking crazy then. You know
you are.
People don't believe in tough love. That's the thing. Tough love is not a thing.
People believe in tough love on the outside, but nobody wants to feel it.
There's a difference. There's a thing that's tough love, and then there's a toxic love, which abusive. MJ is abusive, which MJ is constantly straddling the line of. You know what I mean? He's constantly straddling the line.
But either one, people don't actually want.
Yeah. I think there is a tough love that people believe in.
People believe in it, but they don't want it.
Yeah, they don't want it.
They don't want it enacted on them.
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah.
But who the fuck wants that enacted on them?
I'm good with it.
Because they don't want to be great.
I'm good with it.
I didn't want you, Fred. You know what I mean? But look at me. You know what I mean? I became great with your tough love.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so anyway, we get the flu game.
Yep.
Which is, man, it really watching the. It's not like I haven't seen the game, and I've seen it, right? But watching the way that it's, and this is a credit to the producer too, the way that this is produced and the way that it leads up to it, to the moment of Scotty carrying MJ off the court, meant that much more. You know what I mean? It makes it even greater somehow. I don't even know how you make the flu game a greater game, but it's just, I don't know, man. Like that those are the moments, right? We know. So it made me think about this last night too, which we can talk about too in episode 10. There's just a lot of great players don't have a lot of great moments. You know what I mean? When you run them down, Kobe doesn't have a lot of great moments in the finals. Like, what's the Kobe moment in the finals? Right. You know what I mean? Can't really think of one. What's the Tim Duncan moment in the finals? What's the Shaq moment in the finals? The Larry Bird moment in the finals? We know the Magic Johnson moment. Magic has a couple, but the sky hook in the 82 finals or whatever. That's an iconic moment. You know what I mean? So that's fine. But a lot of great players don't have a moment. And here's MJ, meanwhile, just with mad moments in the finals, with the shrug, with the fucking flu game, with the last shot.
Yeah. 55 in the finals.
55 in the finals. But it's just, the thing is, we can do stats all day and we can bring up a lot of moments because then Timmy has the quadruple double. And I don't give a fuck what anyone says. It's a quadruple double. Guys have those moments, but the moment, the game, this game, you know what I mean? There just isn't a game. Like, LeBron doesn't have a blank game. You know what I mean? Like, there's the flu game. There's Clay has the Klay Thompson game in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals against OKC, right? But there's no game like that for any of the other greats.
I think LeBron has the block is his signature.
And I want to save that because that's his signature, and I want to save that for episode 10. So let's leave that off for 1 second. Leave that off for a second. It's a good moment to bring up. That is his moment for sure. Mm-hmm. But it just made me think about that. Like, who the fuck has moments like this? My man goes against the MVP with the fucking is shitting his pants probably. Ivy track marks in his arm.
That's what
He's
I was
out
thinking
here like
about
a
that,
dope
man.
fiend.
I was like,
You know what I mean?
that dude's draws must have been horrendous.
And what he scored, 38?
Yeah, 38.
Yeah.
He's out there like a dope fiend. He put 38 on the Utah Jazz, the best team in the West at the time.
38 and what, 42, 44 minutes, something like
44 minutes. In 44 minutes, my man plays.
That's insane.
Yeah, man. Really, episode 9 and 10 is really like, to me, episode 9 and 10 are the just spoon serving us shit that we love. You know what I mean? The things that we know are great about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's when so I've watched that game, the flu game, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. And every time you see him after he hits that 3, like after Scotty gets the ball in the post, he tosses back out to him because they double Scotty, and he hits that 3, and they're walking back to the bench, and like Scotty puts his arm around him, and for the first time the entire game, you can see Michael being like, fuck, all right, I can let up.
Yeah.
Because he puts both arms around Scotty, and his body starts to go limp.
Yep. No, it's such an iconic moment, but also such a fucking mistake. I saw Coach Nick try to defend this on Twitter, saying that, well, I remember Scotty was like abusing Hornacek in the post, and it's like, okay, that's fine. So you leave the greatest player of all time wide open? That made sense to the defenders of the Utah Jazz. Let's leave the best player ever open, who at this point has tied the record for 3.5, or actually owns the record for 3.5, I guess, against the Trailblazers. Let's leave him wide open real quick at the 3. You know what I mean? Even though he's baked us now for 40 minutes, 45 minutes of this fucking game. Just a terrible mistake. But again, when you're great, the outlier, as we spoke about mad episodes ago, the outlier, when you're great, the right moment, right time, but the preparation is what allows you to take advantage of the right moment, right time situation, and boom, right moment, right time,
the
preparation,
presence, the focus.
The focus. Just MJ's the fucking greatest. I don't care.
Yeah, you got to send help from the weak side. You can't send it from the strong
Don't leave, Michael, no matter what.
You got to send it from the weak side.
If I was Jerry, I would have ran on the court. Jerry Slav, I'm Jerry Slav, run on the court. What are you doing?
Well, that's the thing is, and I'm not a guy who bashes coaches at all.
Yeah.
Because I know firsthand how difficult it can be, especially in the moment when you have so much responsibility as a head coach to have these really detailed adjustments in the moment. But Jesus Christ, man, it's not game 1.
Yeah,
you gotta if Scotty's back is to the whole other side of the court, he has the back to it. For him to have to turn around and make a skip pass, you can recover.
Yeah.
You can't help off the strong side in that moment. You can't.
Yeah, what were you worried about? Luke Longley? Were you worried about Luke Longley doing something? Now there were, the illegal defense rules at that time. I don't know the exact verbiage. At that time, it wasn't illegal defense. Well, it was illegal defense, but the illegal defense was different. You couldn't be in a zone. And I don't know, would they consider that a zone if the center is hovering over the middle there?
Well, no, you can't. So unless I'm wrong, from what I understand about the legal defense is you couldn't guard a spot.
Correct.
So if Karl Malone, or let's say Greg Ostertag, let's say he leaves Luke Longley he has to actually physically double.
Yeah,
I don't think it's illegal if you actually double and then you have Karl Malone move over to Luke Longley.
Yeah.
Just everybody has to be guarding somebody.
Yeah.
If Luke let's say if Luke Longley gets outside the paint and Greg just standing in front of the rim, not guarding anybody for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
Yeah.
But if he physically doubles the ball, he's on the ball.
Yeah.
So I think if they would have made that but we see those complex rotations don't even really start showing up in the NBA.
Correct. That's true.
Later in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's really all you needed to say. That's really the point is that correct. The way defenses are playing, which is always funny. It's funny to think about today because anytime anyone always brings up the LeBron would have dominated back then, MJ can't dominate today, or any one of these types of arguments, don't understand the complexity of defenses today versus physicality of the defenses of yesterday is two completely different games. Both of these dudes would have dominated in both eras. It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, it just doesn't make a difference. But just the point, don't fucking help off the greatest player of all time. Maybe I don't know. Just a thought.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that.
Jerry Sloan's press conference, I legitimately just laughed at because he says he was sick. You said he was sick. I didn't know that. He looked pretty good to me. You know what I mean?
He said I must be the last person to know this.
Yeah. All of you know that? Yeah, all y'all know that? All of you knew that?
It's funny because you haven't seen Jerry Sloan on TV since 2008? Like I don't even remember when he got fired.
That's his Hall of Fame induction, I think.
But even then,
Rest in peace.
I didn't watch it. So it's like you forget that he sounds like that.
Yeah.
Like he just sounds like he's straight up from fucking the Bronx or something.
Doesn't Jerry Sloan get inducted with MJ? Or am I tripping?
I don't know.
Somebody look that up while I'm talking shit or whatever. Maybe not. I thought he got inducted with MJ. I might be wrong, but I thought he's there. Yeah, I thought they get inducted the same day.
But he because I forgot he sounds like that.
Yeah.
And then
God bless him.
It's so matter of fact. And I don't even know if he was trying to make a joke. You can't even tell. There's no inflection.
Yeah. That's what made it so funny. It was hard to tell. It's hard to tell because there's the coach flabbergasted by he was sick. You sure? Because he just baked us. Or the he was really sick. Oh, I couldn't tell. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell. God bless Jerry Sloan, all-time great coach who never won. And listen, we sometimes look at coaches, and I think we always have this conversation, Vic, me and you too.
Oh, by the way, you guys are right. It was same as Jordan.
Same year as Jordan.
Yep.
About guys who are like Doc Rivers, to me, is the epitome of an overrated coach. You know what I mean? And Doc, if you ever hear this and I ever make it famous, I'm sorry. But you are, you know what I mean? I'm sorry to tell you. But guys like Jerry Sloan, I can't even say he's an overrated coach when we consider his players. We consider Karl Malone and John Stockton, not to necessarily be overrated, but that when people say, he had John Stockton and Karl Malone, it's like, yeah, they went about as far as John Stockton and Karl Malone could ever go. You know what I mean? That's about as far as they were ever going to go. People forget that Jazz team in the mid-2000s when Darren Williams was being compared to Chris Paul. Remember, there were years where people said, I think I'll take Darren Williams over Chris Paul.
And Carlos Boozer?
And Carlos Boozer.
22 something?
20 before the hairline came back in Chicago mysteriously. You know what I mean? Before the armor all got sprayed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That team isn't that good. They're nice. You know what I mean? It's a nice team, but that's Jerry Sloan being Jerry Sloan, a mastermind of this offense, you know what I mean, that they run.
Yeah, they ran their stuff, and they had guys that could do it, but it's just defensively, you look back and it's well, were they actually a good defensive team? Because when Chicago wanted to, they could turn up. And you see the change in the way of play from the 90s. And I know the late 90s, especially after Michael retires, or a lot of teams trying to follow that Bulls model of having that one lead scorer and a bunch of guys around him to complement him. As 2001 Sixers being a lot like that too, where it's that only takes you but so far.
Yeah.
Right? Because unless you have Michael Jordan, 5 guys is better than 1.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's you see how they could torment guys let's say even the Jazz, where it's Jeff Hornacek dribbling the ball, great.
Yeah.
As long as John Stockton's not dribbling it, we don't care.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, correct.
Against the Suns, you got Dan Marley bring the ball up, awesome. As long as Kevin Johnson don't got it.
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler wants to bring the ball up, fine. Just keep Terry Porter out the game.
Yeah.
And you see it with the Patriots series. They talked about it with Pippen guarding Mark Jackson, or in the '91 finals guarding Magic. Right? Magic was getting guarded by Michael or Scotty the whole fucking series. Right?
Take the ball out of his hands.
And it's oh shit, maybe it's viable to have more than one guy who can dribble the ball.
Yeah.
Where you see in the league now, we're literally the best teams. And I say this all the time. This is what the Spurs taught us. The best team were the guys who had 5 guys who can be playmakers.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not one playmaker, one scorer, and a bunch of guys who are just going to stand around and try to make the best of their opportunity. You got 5 guys that can create a shot for themselves and someone else.
Yep.
That's the hardest thing to guard.
Yeah, unless you got 5 guys that can bring you poison pizza to the best player. You know what I mean? Then it's a great defense.
He still dropped 38 though. So
Yeah,
in my
it didn't work out that well.
Was he sick?
Yeah, yeah. No, but to your point, we talked about this. The assist as an unselfish stat it hasn't completely disappeared yet. You know what I mean? People look at Russ and say he's selfish, but don't understand that the assist stat is selfish. You know what I mean? That is a selfish stat. And it said just because you passed the ball that led to the point doesn't mean that you ran a good offense. It means that you held the ball until you were the one who administered the pass for the point. And the Spurs, the Spurs normalized that, and then the Warriors took it to another level.
Correct.
Let's get 5 guys that can all handle the ball at different times, that can all play make and can all score. Clay to a lesser extent than Draymond and Andre and Steph, obviously, but that is the best way. And not only that, but the idea that was presented in the 90s and existed in the 90s, early 2000s was, well, if we have 1 great scorer and 4 great defenders, we're fine. But today, that would never happen. Today, it would be 1 great scorer, 4 great shooters. You know what I mean? Shooters, passers. Fuck if they can defend. Let's run an offense. And in reality, the way that the Bulls would have swept the Jazz is saying, all right, let's put Robin at the 5, Tony at the 4. Karl Malone, you want 40? Cool. Get 40 on 30 shots. No problem. Tony at the 4, or maybe he guards Greg Ostertag. Pippen at the 3, MJ at the 2, and then whoever the fuck, Steve Kerr at the 1. That would have been a lineup of depth that no team would have been prepared to guard, especially in the 90s. But today, that would have been the lineup. When you talk about, like, could they beat the Warriors? Who knows? But the lineup that goes out there is that lineup to beat the Warriors. You know what I mean?
That's why Steve Kerr in the second 3-peat, John Paxson in the first one, they play crunch time.
Correct.
They're playing crunch time.
You need someone to spread the floor. You know what I mean? And one thing I do want to say, and I meant to bring this up earlier, actually, I'm sorry. The Reggie Miller thing in that shot, Reggie, that game, you see the way you beat good defense in the NBA, the way you beat a good defender is all off ball movement. This is what makes Steph Curry great, right? Is that I'm not going to try to dribble past you. I'm going to beat you every other place of the court when I don't have the ball. And that's how Reggie was getting off. So your best argument, because when people think about basketball, they think too linearly, and they're thinking, well, it's MJ versus KD, and it's this guy versus this guy. That's not how it works. The way that the Warriors beat that Bulls team is exactly what Steph does, is all the off-ball movement that allows Steph to get open, that stretches the defense in a million different ways. And now you're forcing one of the elite defenders, whether it's MJ to run through screens or you're forcing Scottie to run through screens. And that is how that team would beat the Bulls team. Reggie shows that kind of, I don't know if some of the lay fans pick that up. It's like when you're having this conversation, the conversation is moving off ball. You know what I mean? So it's just a thing I wanted to point out. So we get the Steve Kerr thing. I did not know this about Steve Kerr, by the way.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I had no fucking idea that happened to Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, like me, a fucking self-proclaimed basketball savant here, didn't know that Steve Kerr's father was killed in Iraq. Is it?
Beirut.
In Beirut. Yeah, and so he's over there. He's as like a teacher.
He's the president of American University.
The American University. He's over there, and 2 students, 2 terrorists pretending to be students. They kidnap him and shoot him.
Yep.
Correct.
Assassinate him.
And that was a great, not a great moment. I'm sorry. I was about to say that's a great moment for me. Not a great moment for me, but was one of the few times in this documentary that I was actually like, oh shit. And it provides insight into the relationship between Steve Kerr and MJ, which Steve Kerr says they never talk about it. I mean, I'm sure MJ has to have known, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it almost makes me wonder to a certain extent how much, I don't know. It just makes me think that MJ, knowing that, maybe would have seen something in Steve earlier than the punch. You know what I mean? Like, we credit the punch to being what earns the respect for Michael. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's actually, this is a thing that Michael sees that's like, we are similar. You know what I mean? And I should be able to rely on you. And maybe he's going at Steve a little bit harder than some of the other guys. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Maybe I got something. No, you don't think so?
I think that was like kind of like a down point for me, because I think in my head I really would have wanted them to bond over that.
Yeah.
And I think you over the course of this whole thing, you kind of, there's always distance between the teammates and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like surface level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of destroys a lot of stuff for me, as far as like being a fan, a Michael Jordan fan, a Bulls fan from that time, is to know that team like they were close, I guess, in regards to playing. But I think there's guys that, like when you guys hoop, or when we've hooped before, you probably hoop with people and you're cool with them on the court, and you'll play ball with them, but you only know them kind of at the surface level. It's like more acquaintance, and it just feels like that, man. A lot of times, like you just hear like there's always like gambling. You really heard like players like, well, I really like to give an insight on what he was feeling. I felt like you didn't really get that from a lot of the guys. They were saying what was happening, but not what he was feeling. Like, he cried in my arms. Like, you really don't get that from teammates. You get it from other people, like, them old heads that the security dudes. But he wasn't looking for his teammates on that. And I think that kind of, I was like, dang, man, because like, that is, what everything that Steve Kerr went through, he was an underdog, from the gate. And, he said like, nah, we really didn't talk. We didn't talk about it. So I don't even know if Michael Jordan would have known.
He knew. But the thing is, like, for Michael, that didn't matter.
Okay.
Like, we have somewhat similar backstories, but how was that making you ready to play in this game? And that's all that mattered to him. Like, from the very beginning, right? Because he gets to the Bulls and, the cocaine circus, right? And it's like, he had to create his own circle because he could not be friends with his teammates. And that persisted throughout his entire career.
Yeah, that's true.
The people who were just happened to be around him became his friends. But in reality, it's just like the guys who are going to do whatever he wants to do, which is fine. Like, if they're cool with that relationship, that's fine with them. Great. But it's not friendship like we consider like ourselves friends.
Yeah.
Right? And like, even like amongst teammates, the whole Breakfast Club thing where it was him and Scotty. And then when Ron Harper came, Tim Grover actually asked Michael to invite Ron Harper, because he's like, I think I can work on his leg and make him stronger. I don't think like any trainer's really done him justice yet. But all of that was to get ready for the fucking game.
Correct.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I want to hang out with you guys at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I want to know you're lifting because I'm watching you fucking lift.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he was inviting all other, 8 other guys. It was just them.
Coworkers.
Yeah, it was just them three. Right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I think this is sort of like another thing of like how this make him look bad. LeBron is gonna rent out the whole fucking gym and invite everybody he's ever played with to come work out with him. Right.
I mean, they were coworkers at the end of the day. That's what it felt like, and I think a lot of us have coworkers that we're cool with. I mean, we spend so much time with them, a majority of our day with our coworkers, but there's a lot of us that will never extend that friendship outside of work.
Yeah. But
and that's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah. But for a team is different. Like we've even if like you've never played on like a real team, you at least know people that like are kind of like your squad. And those relationships are meaningful. Those relationships are meaningful. And like to know this about Jordan, that they kind of fucking weren't. They kind of weren't. And even like he definitely makes a point to say, Scotty, without him, there would be no me. But outside of that, it's kind of like just some random dudes that you were just replacing with, and I'm just ready here to fucking win.
Yeah.
So it's like us and any sports fan, because at least I'm assuming most sports fans at least played on like their fucking elementary school team. Like some of your best memories have been like, oh, I got to hang out with these group of guys I really liked. like more than just being at school, which was right when you're on the road. It's more than just being at practice or at the game. You staying in the same hotel, traveling the same planes and buses, and to like be like, oh, he still like removed himself from them.
Yeah,
like that's another reason why I can see people saying like, oh, he's not who I thought he was.
Yeah, and even to
everybody's like, I would love to be on that team, and then after seeing this, I don't know if everybody would now want to be on that team.
Well, and even to your point, to both your guys' points, after they beat the Sonics, when he gets ushered away into the locker room to break down, he's alone. You know what I mean? And that's weird. You don't see when finals or championships happen. Usually the whole team is on the court. They go from the court to the locker room all together. And this happens after MJ gives his interview. You know what I mean? He gives the interview, whatever, says what he ever says, and then he's whisked away to the locker room alone. You know what I mean? And that right there, I think, could probably paint a picture to your guys' credit about that. You know, I think that's fair. You know, shit on me, fuck me, I guess. You know what I mean? I think, but, you know, I thought maybe he saw something deep.